Well, good day, church. Just wanted to share a little thoughts with us as we go along our week, and trust that it will be a blessing to you. So this past weekend we celebrated Easter, and I really found it interesting as I spent time in prayer and in meditation on the word that the Holy Spirit laid on my heart to look at what it meant for Jesus to die on the cross and to resurrect, and to have that joy of the fulfillment of the promise. And yes, he died on the cross, and all the great things that all the great things that came with that. But even going a bit further, to see what life was like for the disciples right after Jesus left. And this is the heart of what I would like to share in the next couple of minutes. You see, Jesus told the disciples that to carry on the ministry which he had committed to them, they had to stay or wait in the upper room for the promise of the Holy Spirit to be fulfilled. Now, why is this important? It was imperative that the disciples were endued with the power that could only come from the ministry of the Holy Spirit to carry on the assignment of being the witnesses of Jesus Christ in Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. And so Jesus tells the disciples, you'll be endued with power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and then you'll be my witnesses all over the ends of the earth, because you would have received what is necessary to carry on this ministry that I undertook when I was with you. And I find it interesting that there's no specifics when it comes to the timeline for waiting. Jesus doesn't really tell his disciples, if you wait from the hours of 3 to 6 or 12 midnight to 5 a.m., you will receive this power. He just tells them to wait. So without a clear timeline, the disciples go on this really, really, really interesting journey of waiting. So staying in the upper room, waiting for this promise of the Holy Spirit to be fulfilled. And why this is really important is because it's a reminder that in a season such as this, which we just celebrated Easter, and there's an excitement, and we're looking forward to Pentecost Sunday, in which it's a reminder of the fact that the disciples were gathered in the upper room, and the Holy Spirit came upon them, and they were able to do the assignments which God had called them for, which is to be the witnesses and basically share the gospel. I also find something interesting about the dimension of staying in the upper room. It's the fact that this same assignment is one Jesus has also called us to. And I mean that in the sense that if we would ever be endued with power to really be the witnesses of Jesus Christ, we must stay. The idea of staying with the Father has not changed even over 2,000 years to this point. There's still a place for staying in power, staying in prayer, staying in the presence of God, staying in fellowship with the Father. You see, what happens in the place of staying is that you come into contact with the Father in such a deep sense of fellowship that by the time you step out of that place of staying, it's almost like your countenance is changed. Like, yes, you still have your physical body, but there's a stronger sense of conviction. There's a greater sense of urgency. You know what the Father is calling you to do in that season. You know where to go. You know who to talk to. It's not so much a changing on the outside as it is a changing on the inside. Every time we spend time with the Father in fellowship consistently, we are changed into the image of the Father. And this is important because we have to have an understanding that our walk with Jesus, our walk with God, is not one in which we can shadow box our way through so many things or guess left, right, and center what to do here. It requires foresight, and foresight can only be gotten in the place of staying. We must sustain an understanding that helps us to prioritize staying with the Father to the point where we are enriched with His presence, with His power, with freshness in our walk with Him. You see, staying brings conviction. Staying brings freshness. Staying brings a sense of urgency. Staying brings a hunger to do more, to pursue after God, to follow the Christ-like agenda, to witness for Him. When we stay, we receive a fresh dose of fire, of the oomph that we need to follow after, to seek the face of God, to do the things He's called us to do. So today I just want to encourage us that as we go about our week and as we go about our daily lives, let's prioritize the place of staying with the Father. Because if the disciples had to stay to receive an endowment of power when the Holy Spirit came upon them, I think it's even more important that in this day and age, as we face so many things and as there's so much that's going on in the world now, without being complacent or without being insensitive about what we're facing, we must prioritize the place of staying above all else, above watching the news, above discussing the current events, as important as that is, above staying informed. The place of staying with the Father should be our primary priority, because it's in staying that we receive the grace to go forth and be witnesses. God bless everyone.